What is going on, everyone? Ken, also known as Wiltshire here, and today I'm bringing you some TDM on Black Ops, and this is kind of in celebration of Black Ops 2 coming out on Tuesday, and I just wanted to throw some Black Ops gameplay in there because I thought it was appropriate, and I hate Modern Warfare 3. I never want to see that game again. Regardless, I'm not talking about Modern Warfare 3 in this video. However, I want to tell you guys a story, a pretty weird, epic, I don't know how you want to label the story, but a story that happened to me yesterday. Basically it's my first car accident. Let's just say that. But I'm gonna go through like the story that led up to this whole event. Okay, so my girlfriend and I, or my ex-girlfriend, have been separated for maybe 2.5 months. Just before school started, we separated in August, and fast forward to November. The first weekend of November is my high school graduation ceremony, my commencement. So I saw her there, and the first thing she did as soon as she saw me, she hugged me, and I was like, huh, maybe we still have something. And I was thinking about it for like maybe a month or so. I was like, you know what, maybe I should ask her out again. I want a second chance. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I asked her out again. She's like, okay, I'm gonna need some time to think about it. So fast forward another week, and this is the present week that I'm talking right now. And on this weekend, so we got together, we talked for a while, we ate dinner, and then after we talked and ate dinner, I decided to drive her home, be a nice guy, and drive her home. So after I dropped her off, and I was pulling in the driveway, I was like, maybe I should park on the street. I was like, yeah, that might be a better idea, but there was no spot, and I didn't really want her to walk that far. I was like, okay, I'll pull into the driveway. And as soon as she walked up to her door and started unlocking her door, and I was in reverse, I was backing up, I backed into the person's car right across the street from me, and I was like, oh man. So I stopped, I pulled over, put my four ways on, and then I got out of the car, ran over. I was like, oh god, that's a lot of damage. Not to her car, the ladies who I hit, but to my car. I was like, my parents are gonna flip shit. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna rip my balls off, cut my throat open, and shove them down my throat. That's how bad. I was like, I was so scared. I was shaking. I was like having a nervous breakdown right in front of my ex-girlfriend and her brothers, because her brothers came running out. They're like, what happened? And thank God they came out, because they were actually a really big help in this situation, because they've been in a few accidents themselves, but I'm not going to go into detail on their accidents because I'm not really in the position to talk about their accidents. However, so they got a light, and we had to look at the damage again, and I was like, okay, I need to call my dad. So I got my cell phone, and the first thing I did was call my dad. I told him, hey dad, I backed into someone's car. What do I do? I don't know the procedures. I don't know the steps to take when you get into a car accident. He's like, okay, well, what you need to do is you need to find out who owns the car. You need to take a picture of the damage. You need to take a picture of the person's license plate on the car, and you need to let the person know who owns the car what happened. So I was like, okay, that's not a big deal. And then I was like, okay. So I take a picture of the damage with the light that my ex-girlfriend's brothers brought me, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. Take pictures. And I go into my car to grab my insurance slip because I know the lady's going to want to see it. So I grab that before I go up to the doorstep with my ex-girlfriend's brother. So we walk up to the doorstep, we knock on the door, we ring the doorbell. We wait for a couple minutes, and there's no answer. It's like, okay, this is absolutely freaking great. Like, this is fantastic. She's not home, and I can't tell her what happened. So I phone my dad again. He's like, okay, she's not home. What you need to do is you need to leave a note of some kind. So I was like, okay, what do I put on the note? He says you need to put your name, and you need to put your phone number, and you need to tell her what happened. So I was like, okay. The note that I wrote said, hey, to whoever it may concern, I backed into your car. Here's my information. It's listed below, and we can figure out the details at a later time. I apologize because you're not home. Well, actually, I didn't say I apologize because my dad always told me never to say sorry if you get into a car accident, because then you take 100% guilt into the car accident. So that's a life lesson that I learned from my dad. But so once I was done writing the note, not reading it, I put it on the lady's windshield of the car that I hit. I put it underneath the windshield wiper, and I went back to my car. I was going to put my insurance slip back in the glove box. I put it back in the glove box. I closed the glove box, and all I hear is, hey, what's going on, from across the street? And I couldn't see anybody, and then I saw some lights come on, and there were 3 people standing in the driveway of that house. I was like, oh, crap. I'm like, this is going to get bad. And I was like, I don't know if I sounded rude when I said it to the man. I was like, well, even though it's not any of your business, I backed into this lady's car, and I was just leaving my information. And then the man's wife, I think, that was standing beside her, she's like, oh, but that's my best friend's car, and she runs over and then starts knocking on the person's door. I was like, well, ma'am, I've already tried that. She's not home. She's like, well, I can't let this go unseen. I was like, but I left my information on the windshield and everything. And she's just like, oh, well, her husband's an RCMP officer, which is the police force where I live. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, I was like, great. I just backed into a cop's car. And that's his work vehicle too. I was like, this is getting worse by the second. And then my ex-girlfriend says to the lady who said that her husband's an RCMP officer, she says, is that supposed to intimidate him because it's not going to work? And then the lady turns over and calls my ex-girlfriend a bitch, which starts a whole nother argument in itself. And then my ex-girlfriend's brother comes over and says, hey, don't call my sister a bitch. Like, there's no need for that language in this kind of situation. You know, the guy's already scared enough. We don't need to escalate this even further into a fight or an argument. So I was like, thank God her brother was there to, you know, be the middleman, be the moderator in this whole situation. So I was like, okay. I just stood there quietly while they argued back and forth. Eventually, they left, and they left me alone after calling me a few bad names. But so I waited around for maybe a minute or two. I was like, okay, maybe if I wait for a bit, maybe the lady will come home. So I actually got a stroke of good luck here. The lady actually pulled into her driveway, so I ran up to her. I'm like, hey, ma'am, sorry, I backed into your car. And, I left my information on the windshield. Here's the note that I left. And she's like, oh, can I see your insurance? I'm like, absolutely, you can see my insurance. Luckily, the lady was very, very nice to me. And I could have had a lady that was a huge bitch to me, like, or a guy that was an asshole. Like, she was really nice. She was very understanding of what happened. And I gave her my insurance. She photocopied it and everything. So I was like, okay, good. We're good. And then after that was all said and done, I was getting ready to go home. My girlfriend turns around to me and she's like, I'm sorry for everything that happened. It's all my fault. I'm like, no, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I wasn't really paying attention when backing up. It's all my fault, actually. But before I left, she's like, give me a hug. I'm like, okay. So I give her a hug, say goodbye. And then she's like, I want to kiss you. I'm like, go for it. Basically, go for it. So I got a kiss out of the whole thing, which, it's great for me, but I also have to face my parents. That was the whole thing that was kicking in the back of my mind when I started driving home. Like, I still have to face my parents, so this is not over. This whole situation is not over and done. Like, this could be worse. This could be way worse than I actually think it is right now. I was actually feeling pretty good because I got the whole thing resolved with the owner of the car pretty easily, but I was like, okay, I had to face my parents. And my dad is a retired dealership owner, and he used to own a Pontiac Buick GMC dealership, but he got terminated by GMC. However, that's not the point of this video. My dad still owns the building and the land for the dealership. However, a Hyundai dealership moved into that building, and the car that I happened to back into was a Hyundai. So I was like, this is perfect. Like, my dad has ties with people that own a Hyundai dealership. We know the people who own it. We're good friends with them. They have a good body shop. They're certified body shop. I'm like, this works. And that's what my dad did. So that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, maybe my dad will do that. So as soon as I stepped in the door, my dad was waiting for me in the kitchen on a computer. I guess he was trying to keep himself entertained while waiting for me. I get in the door, and I'm like shaking. And I'm tearing up to him, just like, okay, I'm ready for the shitstorm. Go. And then my dad just laughed. I was like, why is he laughing? That was a nice voice crack as well, but I'm like, why is he laughing? Like, I don't understand. And then my dad turns to me and says, is the SUV, because I was driving an SUV, I was driving a Nissan Pathfinder, he's like, is the SUV too much car for you? And then he was laughing, and I was just like, what? What is happening? Why is my dad being so cool about this? And then he's just like, it's okay, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of the damage. Anyway, guys, that is my story of my car accident. I hope you guys enjoyed the story that happened to me. I never want to be a part of a car accident again. It's absolutely terrifying. But I hope you guys enjoyed my story, and I will see you guys in the next video.